You went out with the Nelk Boys and got very ill, didn't you?
I sure did, yeah. This isn't going to Sentinel Island, but I have no control over what they do. They test you, and if you push back, they're gonna, hurt you. We all got staph infection, really aggressive staph infection early.
Yikes.
I want to be clear, it's all fun and games we're talking about. It was a hard trip on the body. You're sleeping on the ground, you're in the mud, you're in the reef. Long story short, he went to 3 different specialists, and they found out he had some kind of parasite in his stomach.
People always ask the question, how can I do what you do, Forrest? You got to be willing to take the kind of brutality that comes along with the good parts that you see on camera.
This is just part of the life that I've chosen to live.
Right.
I'm dragging my kids to an island in Vanuatu that takes 4 days to get there. Yes, they're gonna get sick. But more interestingly than this is I'm almost certain that I'm going to, for the first time in history, show a brand new species exclusively on the pod right here.
Nothing to
Kyle,
say.
just
but
go.
Excited,
Just start.
let's
Don't
roll.
even worry. Just go. He's sitting there waiting for you guys to finish zinning.
Everybody is our brains are coming back after the break, dude. Things are a little. Forrest has got a lot to say with no context.
I got a lot to say and nothing to talk about, baby.
It's good to see you guys.
Wild Times 2025.
Happy
Happy New Year, brosners and sisters. Welcome back to the greatest show that ever existed. This is the Wild Times. I'm your host, Forrest Galante. The broologist sitting directly beside me is the one and only. What are you, producer? That's right.
Baby.
My brain really is. I need a magic mind.
It's been hard.
Ooh, magic mind.
This morning.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks of just shutdown.
Yeah.
No work, eating like a pig.
Let me ask
relaxing.
you. Well, first of all, PhD in podcasting on the far end. Retep,
Hello.
The other host.
Hi.
Let me ask you this: on January 1st, did you kick into gear, or were you just a piece of shit still?
Piece of shit. I was waiting until today.
Yeah.
Right. Because I knew that the 6th was the first day back at work.
Yep.
And so I was extending because I take a 2-week break. Right. That's really the only full break that the entertainment industry takes. It's
Totally.
2 weeks.
Totally.
And it started really late this year.
Yep.
So I was I'm not kicking into gear on the 1st. I'm waiting until the 6th.
What about you, Peter? How did you handle it?
No. The first, dude, is a holiday. So an actual recognized holiday. And I was talking to my brother who's in town hanging out with me for a while. He's like, we were talking about we're going to go to the gym on the 1st, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You kick it into gear on the 1st.
But I was like, nah, dude, it's a holiday. I'm not going. And also, I was
5 more.
Is the gym actually packed on the 1st?
Oh my
or
God,
it's the 2nd.
Bro, no, so I am a bit of a gym rat, as you know. I go every day. I love it. It's like my social hour in addition to my workout.
Can't tell. Yeah.
Thanks, rude. But it's not January 1st. It starts December 18th.
Oof,
and
what?
then all of a sudden there are all these people in your gym that are trying to get yoki for the holidays and they're trying to kick it into gear before. And I literally walk around. I'm like, you don't even go here, bro. This is not your place. You know what I mean? Get back. 6 weeks from now, you're gone.
It's because they're sending out the text, dude, trying to reactivate the database. Come on in, get in shape for the new year. We'll give you the month of December free.
Bullshit.
I'm telling you, I got these texts, and then I went in there oh, no, we don't actually honor that deal, basically. Just get me in and say rest of the year free, and then I go in there, and it'll be $50 initiation fee, $15 a month. What is this text? Fuck you!
Kyle.
Sorry.
What do we have in the news starting the year off? What's in the news?
Sir, news from the underground.
Love that jingle.
Here's
Love
a
it.
story. A New South Wales farmer was fined a record $1 million for wiping out critical koala habitat for a private airstrip larger than the Sydney airport. What do you think of this?
Wait, a private airstrip? The Sydney airport's massive.
It is really, really big. But this guy lives on a giant farm, and he cleared 1,262 hectares, also 3,100 acres, of critical koala habitat, which also has cockatoos and all the other things. It's eucalyptus forest for his private airstrip so that he can fly around and monitor his cattle. Keep in mind, Australia is very remote.
Yeah.
You need to have planes there, but seems really large.
It says that it also took out critical habitat for 30 other threatened species, dude. That's crazy.
But what's your feelings here? Obviously, I have a standpoint on wildlife. We all know that. But
You hate it?
I hate it. I hope it all
exactly.
dies. What are our feelings here on like this guy obviously owns the property.
Mm-hmm.
He should more or less be allowed to do what he wants with his own piece of dirt. He's a farmer. He has to have these things. I'm not saying he has to have an airport the size of Sydney,
Right.
but he obviously has to have a landing strip. Like, what are our feelings on this?
That's a big no for me.
Wait, so was this his land?
His land.
Got it.
His land. He's a cattle farmer, and he cleared this giant area to be an airstrip, basically.
I mean, but like how I'd love to see the specifics on the contract for when he bought the piece of land. Like, because do you really own the land that you have? I mean, if you don't pay taxes on it to the government, they take it back
Well, I'm sure
from
he
you.
pays taxes.
No.
What are
I'm
you
saying I'm saying that you don't. You're like renting the land from wherever you live, like from the government. They still technically own the land, and you're paying taxes on it. So if you were to stop paying taxes, you don't own the land anymore. So I'm saying,
Peter, if you decided to fill in your death trap of a swimming pool that your children are constantly trying to kill each other in, and you found out that there was a critically endangered yellow-legged frog tadpole living in the bottom of your pool, and then you just were like, you know what, fuck it. Or rather, in fact, a better
yeah, because that's a
hypothetical-
ridiculous analogy.
No,
Go
it's
on.
not. It's a great analogy.
No,
A
it's
better
horrible.
hypothetical is you filled in your pool because your kids are trying to drown themselves in it every summer day.
Yeah.
And then you got $1 million fine because there may or may not have been a tadpole at the bottom
Well,
of it.
first of
How
all-
are you're telling me you're like, oh, it's fine. The government actually
No, I
owns
wouldn't
it.
say it's fine, but I would say that I'd
you
certainly
would go
have
on
to
the
get
biggest rant of all time.
I certainly would have had to look into it and get a permit, and then they would have told me you're going to be in some trouble if you do this. It would have been a big battle, big fight.
Your children's lives were at stake.
It doesn't.
Peter.
There's a fence around the pool. It's fine. You got to go. There's a permitting process, dude. Right? What did he just not ask anybody if he can build this airport?
He lives on a giant farm.
Doesn't you just got to ask somebody?
Who's he got to ask? What kind of world are we living in
Who's
where
the
you got
prime
to ask
minister of
somebody?
AU? He's got to ask her or him.
Nah, that's shenanigans.
All right. So my take is obviously getting shat upon. What's
No,
your
I
guys'
just don't
take?
agree. I think that if you own the land, you should make smart choices on your own. You shouldn't have to.
People are incapable of smart
That's
choices.
the problem. That is the problem. You shouldn't have to check with the government, etc. You should look and go, wow, this is a really important piece of habitat full of koalas. I'm going to do it over here in the dirt. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think.
But that doesn't happen though. So what's the answer? Because people are clearly not going to do that. That's kind of why the system of checks and balances is there though, with the permitting and whatnot.
I don't know.
We'll never agree, but
No,
I mean,
there's no right answer here. Patrick, you're awfully quiet about the situation.
I was just reading about these other species. That
And?
I've never heard of a lot of them.
Okay.
Have you heard of the pale-headed snake?
No.
What about
no.
the?
Well, I've seen Peter's pale-headed snake.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it's very pale.
It's real pasty.
What about
Oh,
the brown tree
gross.
creeper?
Can you just quickly Google image pale-headed snake with safe search off? Let's see what comes up. Oh,
There you
it's
go.
quite lovely.
yeah, it's a cute little snake.
I get it. It's a black snake with a pale head.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool, man.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
What about the brown tree creeper? You know about this one?
No, that must be a plant, though.
It's got to be a spider. It's got
Brown tree creeper.
Oh, he spelled it with a K. Oh, it's a bird. Huh.
Yep.
Very cool.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not. It's a brown blob.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a standard bird.
It's what we in the safari business, because my family ran safaris,
Yeah.
used to call an LBJ.
What's that? Lyndon B. Johnson?
Good guess. When you'd be out on, look, in Southern Africa, there's gazillions of birds. And as a safari guide, you're supposed to know them all. But there's probably 300 species of small brown birds that
Yeah.
look identical.
Mhm.
So if somebody on safari, some British tourist, be like, "Oh, that's quite lovely. What kind of bird is that?" And you didn't know, the auto response was, "Oh, that's an LBJ."
Yeah.
And LBJ is an acronym for Little Brown Job.
See,
Little brown job.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
This
You're
is
like,
why
"Ah, it's
people
some
are
LBJ."
stupid.
Yeah.
You're out there spreading misinformation as people go back and start spreading that. Oh, we saw an LBJ. Like,
Yes, it was quite phenomenal. There were dozens of LBJs in the woods.
and then was this before or after you fed him raccoon shit? Or
That
what was it?
Impala.
Impala shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're
Both.
the worst tour guide in the
Nah,
world.
I had a good time.
So I went to the zoo yesterday, the LA Zoo, and I we all like zoos here.
Indeed.
We've been to the Santa Barbara Zoo together.
It's lovely.
The LA Zoo advertises animals that I don't think they actually have, because I've been there 3 times.
Okay.
They have 2 elephant enclosures, Asian and African. I've never seen an elephant.
Okay. Interesting.
they say that they have a tiger, and you have to walk really far to get to the tiger. It's the farthest point in. Never seen the tiger.
It's just an empty enclosure when you get
Empty
there.
enclosure.
Yeah.
And I would say like 50% of the enclosures are empty.
Interesting.
So I'm like, they charged a fee to get in.
Yeah.
The animals need to be there. Like, I get that they sleep and they need to go in and get veterinary treatment and get out of the sun and stuff, but like, I don't really think they have elephants.
I tend to believe you, and I'll tell you why. I think that a lot of these zoos, Kyle's rubbing his face like, please don't say anything stupid. I think a lot of these zoos like that, like public city zoos, they rotate the animals a lot. They keep the animals in quarantine a lot. It's dead of winter.
Okay.
The animals should be out. A tiger, if it's not out now, it's not going to be out when it's 108 out in LA.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it should be out, but I think they tend to keep them in way more than they need to be kept in.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
For care and food and everything else. I think they do that way too much.
Yeah, they probably hate the humans too. The animals are just like, God. Imagine just every day you got to get up and just like have someone stare at your butthole.
So there's one rhino, an Asian rhino, and it was like in a like charge position looking at the people.
Oh, really?
Like it was stressed out.
They're quite grumpy.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but they are cool. I'm working on a project right now that I'm hoping to place a camera on an Asian one-horned rhino's horn and follow it around for a day.
That's amazing.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Where?
Yes.
In India.
Got it.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be cool to put a camera on one of those guys' horns and just kind of live in their world for a day? Like, because you're seeing the exact same thing they're seeing, right? Because if you're looking from the horn, you're just looking from their face.
What kind of camera?
That is the problem.
Okay. You need a little guy.
Well, so actually, it's kind of interesting. Just Google like rhino camera horn quickly, or rhino horn camera. So I saw this thing. Yeah, go to that BBC one, the first one. Click that. So I saw this. You don't need to play it, but it's really, really clever. This was like a rhino spy thing that was done in South Africa where they drilled holes and put the camera like actually in the horn. We're obviously not going to do that. You have to sedate it. That's for anti-poaching.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to put like a dog collar on this guy's horn and try to put a camera on it. But most of these cameras don't run very long, as you know, the small cameras. So it is tricky. But look how cool that POV is.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet.
Isn't that rad? Yeah. But because that's on an African rhino where there's another horn in the front. So we do it differently. But yeah, I don't know. It would be cool if we can figure it out.
What are you hoping to capture?
I don't know. I really don't.
Okay.
Just POV rhino.
Got it.
You know?
Have we talked about your most recent visit?
No.
You've been on a lot of journeys that we haven't talked about on the public pod, on the bonus we have, but you went out with the Nelk Boys and got very ill, didn't you?
I sure did, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't talked since then. Since you got back from Vanuatu?
Have we not? Oh,
no.
That's ridiculous. We did. We went to Vanuatu, went to Kwakia Island in the far northern regions of Vanuatu, and then brought the Nelk Boys in and took them to Mota Island, which is an island so remote that they speak their own language just on that island. And the island's like the size of this building complex. It's not huge, but the island is so standalone that they speak their own language on Mota. And yeah, went and did a full tribal experience with them, and it was super fun.
With a pretty much uncontacted tribe. They've only been contacted once in the last
Not really. I mean, so I kind of said that in the video, but the truth is like they've been contacted by this guy Brett. So Brett is the guy who he's probably the only Westerner. You know, he's a white guy. He's probably the only Westerner that lives in that whole province of Vanuatu. Okay. For hundreds of miles. That's him. He's an awesome, awesome dude. We really, really like the guy. Super fun. But he is the only person that's ever been like culturally indoctrinated into the Mota tribe. Like they brought him in. He went through the whole ceremony with them, and there. You can actually see it. I don't know if that's it right there, but he actually went through the ceremony with them, and so he's considered like one of the Mota people.
He kind of looks like Luke Wilson.
He's quite handsome and quite lovely. But yeah, so he's the guy who really has contact with Mota Island. Like you couldn't just rock up there. It would be a Sentinel Island situation, I think.
Okay.
But so he's in, as you can see. So he's like a part of it. So I've been chatting with Brett for a while now, and I told him like the Nelk guys want this really cultural experience. He's like, yeah, look, I've taken a couple people over there, but anything can happen.
Right.
Like he's like I want you to understand like. This isn't going to Sentinel Island, but I have no control over what they do. He's like, they could get upset. They could not get upset. They could be happy. They could sit around and smoke weed all day and ignore you. Like anything can happen. And I was like, great. Well, like try and like, tell them we're coming and get them excited. And then let's just fucking roll the dice. And he's like, well, we got to bring him a pig. So he went out, caught a pig, took him a pig. And then, yeah, it was pretty nuts.
So the Nelk Boys, I had never heard of them. They're a huge like YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just like a bunch of bros, younger-ish kids, like in their 20s.
They're us in our early 20s. That's
Right.
exactly what they are.
And pretty
It's
much
not good. Yeah, it's not good.
And you were kind of like their guide on this, and they have no experience kind of being out in nature doing anything like this, right?
Yeah, they're definitely city boys. But
And
they're
how-
super fun, super game, not experienced, not comfortable in the outdoors. Like, I should say not comfortable in the outdoors. It's just not their space.
It'd be like taking me. You like
exactly
like
like
taking
they're,
five of
they're
me.
tough guys and they're game for it, but like they
Yeah.
wouldn't know how to catch a pig.
I don't know if I go to tough guys.
Kyle, you were there, right?
I was there, yeah.
Was it scary as you rolled up to the island?
It's like it's shocking. I wouldn't call it.
Show them go to the video, go to the Nelk Boys video, and just go to like the arrival part. It's fun. We had a good time. They're really nice guys. Like one thing I really learned from this whole experience is we're talking about my trip to Vanuatu, India, all these things. One thing I have to point out: you cannot travel without the noise canceling headphones.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a game changer. I got the everyday earbuds from Raycon.
Love them.
They're fantastic. You pop them in. The noise canceling is huge. Paired to multiple devices, they're a fraction of the cost of a lot of the other premium ones,
Yep.
and far, far better.
32-hour battery life, which is amazing when you're traveling to India
Yeah.
or Vanuatu.
Which is about how long you're stuck on the goddamn plane for.
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, listen, get 15% off site-wide at buyraycon.com/wildtimes. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/wildtimes. buyraycon.com/wildtimes.
Don't travel this year without them. I'm telling you.
Agreed.
So we were at Pat's Christmas party the other day. This is a
time.
true story, by the way. I walked into his laundry room and I was like, oh, it smells so nice in here. I thought it was a detergent. It was cat litter.
Well, here's the thing. We've talked about Pretty Litter. They're a longtime sponsor of the pod. Apparently, a lot of people in our audience have used our promo code because, they're still with us.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's turned me from never having another cat to cat owner for life. It's winter. Cats are inside. Pretty Litter just has somehow miraculously fixed the cat shitbox problem.
I think it's your favorite product, period.
It is.
Not to mention peace of mind. It changes colors if something might be wrong. Kidney infection, UTIs, and other illnesses. It'll give you an indicator. It'll show you if there's something going on with your cat's health.
Indoor cats and indoor humans agree. Pretty Litter helps my house smell fresh and clean. Go to prettylitter.com/wild to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/wild to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. prettylitter.com/wild. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details.
All right. So, guys, it's New Year's. It's the perfect time to start organizing your finances. And I love Rocket Money. I use this app every day. It just told me that somehow my gas bill is up by $200. Now I got to call them. I'm going to yell at them, see what's going on. Dude, it is the best way to budget your finances. It's the best way to cut out recurring subscriptions that you don't need. It notifies you. It tells you. And it is awesome. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features.
Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings.
Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/wildtimes today. That's rocketmoney.com/wildtimes. rocketmoney.com/wildtimes.
Love it.
You don't have to be... It's crazy because they have one of the largest YouTube channels there is, right? They do all this like political stuff with Donald Trump and I don't even know what else they do, but like a bunch of big name stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just bros. Like, just pause it for a sec, Kyle. They're just bros. They don't make any qualms about who they are. They don't pretend to be anything they're not. They tell you if they're scared of something. They're as bro-y as it gets. Like, they're literally like one of them will say something stupid and the other one will be like, dude, is that what's going on in your fucking head right now? Are you that dumb?
Right.
And then like they're just being themselves. And it's really refreshing because I feel like even myself, and I know the three of us, like I'll speak for all three of us, I will watch what I say sometimes. You know what I mean? On the pod or in public, I'll be like, I can't say that. Like that could be offensive to somebody. These guys are just like, fuck that. Like I'll say exactly what I'm thinking, when I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. Like, and they're nice people. So it's not like, it's not like it's bad stuff, but like they say stuff that I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I'd call my buddy a fucking idiot on air. Right. And they do. Yeah.
Well, is
you're
that
a fucking
Mitch
idiot
in this?
No, Mitch. That's a guy named Gabe. But yeah, so this is how they greet you. That's a guy named Steiny who's really funny, but he was not expecting any of this.
They just run up to him and embrace him. That's hilarious.
Yeah, they start like hitting you and like grabbing you, and it was a whole to do.
So what was like, okay, kind of any behind the scenes thing that was like the most, what were they the most like afraid of that was noticeable? And they were like, I don't want to do this, or like just eating
swimming. Swimming in the ocean with sharks.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's terrifying.
Well, they're like...
And so what is this, like an intimidation thing?
Yeah, it's like the whole thing that the tribe does, the Mota tribe, is they sort of test you, and if you... like, see how they're like kind of hitting them and screaming and stuff? This is... I could be mistaken a little bit, but this is how Brett explained it to me. They test you, and if you push back, they're going to like hurt you.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I warned them going into this. I was like, do not punch back. Do not do anything. Like let them test you. Like they're here to intimidate you. And if they see you as a threat or a challenge, they're going to fuck you up. Like they're going to fuck all this up. And they'll probably kick us off the island, So they test you. And then you don't see it in the video because it takes a minute because it's boring. We had to walk like 45 minutes up this insanely steep, muddy hill where everybody's falling down every 10 seconds. Yeah. And they're like pushing you and hitting you with sticks and screaming in your face. It's really wild.
We had our little holiday party over at Pat's house where we brought the wives and the kids, and we made some good food and everything. And I feel like your son Rhodes essentially does the same thing. He likes to test people.
Yeah, he's a psycho.
He definitely hits you, and if you hit back, he's going to hit you harder.
It goes for your balls.
Well, I've taught him his whole life that like fighting is fun and it's a game because this is just bad parenting advice. Don't listen to this. I strongly believe that like kids today are being raised in a very like physically soft society.
Oh, zero question.
Like when we were in school, and this is us being dads again, but like when we were in school, I got in a fist fight minimum once a month at school. I did. And I know I was a little more of a troublemaker than some, but like I was in a fist fight constantly. The teachers didn't care. I remember arguing in class, this was back in Zimbabwe, but I remember arguing in class with a classmate, and my teacher said, go outside and sort it out. And I won't name him, me and a friend who's still a friend went outside and fucking punched it up as hard as we could. He whooped my ass, and we went back inside. We were both crying and sat down to go back to school. Yeah, and the teacher was like, great, you sorted it out. So I've always taught my son, like, fighting is fine. Yeah. Stand up for what you believe in. Test yourself. Test bigger people. Test adults. Whatever. Doesn't, he likes you guys. That's why he runs up and hits you. Yeah. And in a fun way. It's not like he's trying to hurt you, right? He's playing.
Big smile on his face.
Yeah, but like
he's tenacious too. He just would not stop.
He's relentless.
I feel like he could take me in a fight because I would get winded and he'd still be going.
Oh yeah, you would gas out.
He's exhausting.
Wait, so how's this video doing, by the way?
What's it at,
It's got like 4 million views or something.
It's
the Nelk one.
4.7 million views.
And so did they fund this trip?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So they paid for everything. I mean, I didn't get paid. I didn't want to get paid. I just said, pay for me and my guys who were Kyle and Tommy, who you guys know. Tommy and Kyle's obviously always here. I was like, just pay for me, Kyle, and Tommy to come along, we'll film our own content aside from this, and you cover all the costs and we're in, and that's what they did.
Dude,
nice.
I feel like that is what our broasters want. That's like their dream in life is how do I figure out how to
fucking huge bats.
Oh yeah.
How do I figure out how to live this life? It's so crazy. So they just reached out to you and they're like, hey, dude, you want to. Did they have this plan, or did they ask you for like a plan of something crazy to do, and then you kind of figured out where you're going?
Kyle, that guy right there, he's kind of the leader.
Yeah.
I think he's like the OG Nelk Boys.
Okay.
Or Nelk Boy, perhaps. He's sort of a Nelk man at this point.
Yeah, he's an adult.
Yeah, but he hit me up, I think on Instagram, and he's like, hey, bro, like, love your content. I'm a huge fan, blah, blah, blah. And I'd seen their stuff, of course. They're everywhere. And I was like, likewise, your prank stuff. So you should see... When we're done, we should watch their dog truck video. Remember when Trump was like, they're eating the dogs and cats?
Yes.
You got to see the video they made off of that. It's so funny. But so he reached out and he's like, I just want to do like a cool tribal experience. And
cool.
And I actually, Kyle knew of this Kwakia Island thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pinged Brett, the guy who owns it. And I was like, hey, like I know there's a lot of tribes in northern Vanuatu. Like what can we do? And he's like, dude, we can do this. So I got back to Kyle. I was like, pay for this. Just cost. It was very affordable for what it is. I mean,
Sure.
Look, there's nothing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, pay for this, and I'm in because I've always wanted to go to Vanuatu. So we did.
Are you eating bats? Is that what's happening?
Sure are.
I feel like that's pretty dangerous after the whole COVID thing.
I mean, these people have been eating bats for centuries.
So
they don't have COVID.
Well, on that note,
that I'm aware of.
You again at the party, you had told us, like you kind of glossed over the fact that everybody in your family got violently ill for like 2 weeks, and you said that, and then I was talking to your wife, and she was like, it was the most insane thing I've ever been through. Like my son, he had a fever for 5 days. It was awful.
Like
staph
3 weeks.
infection.
He didn't eat for 2 weeks straight. He lost a third of his body weight.
I feel like if that happened in my life, and all I could think about for like 2 months would be like, man, we almost all died.
No, I think only my son almost died. Everybody else.
How
was
did that
okay.
happen? What happened?
So we went back to back from India for the tour video of Ventara that you guys have seen. We went from there almost direct to Vanuatu. Like I think I spent one night at home and then
with
went
the
to Vanuatu.
family.
With the family, yeah. So we were pretty worn down, and then Vanuatu, I was there for 3 weeks, and India, I was there for 2 weeks. So I've been on the road for a bit. And long story short, we all got really cut up because there's a lot of coral reef, and our supple little bodies, like, I speak for all of us in this room, are not used to like the coral reef and the tons of bacteria in the ocean there. So like it's funny because my scars are purple. You can actually see them still.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Like
look at those
they're,
legs.
They're purple in color. So we all got
can't see
staph.
anything on those toothpicks.
Oh, you got staph?
We all got staph infection, like really aggressive staph infection early.
Yikes.
And nobody had antibiotics or anything. Kyle got it too. You got a staph infection too, didn't you?
Oh, that
4
was the
times.
foot thing. That
the foot
he
thing.
couldn't even walk.
But like it's really painful, by the way. Like you can't move, you can't touch it. So all the kids, it was so I don't even know where to tell you. I got cut up. I got a staph infection. Jess got cut up. She got a staph infection. Rhodes was cut fucking all over because he's a 5-year-old who's this lunatic and never wears clothes. So he was like riddled with staph. And then the baby was totally clear because Jessica took care of him like a baby until literally about an hour and a half before the charter plane came. She's like, can you just watch Rudd while I pack the bag? And I was like, of course. So I put the baby on the ground and handed him a hermit crab that broke his finger like within 15 seconds. And it snapped his finger here. Oh my and then,
God.
of course, cut so much
boy.
that he got a staph infection as well. Literally within about 15 seconds of her handing me the baby.
You are insane.
I know.
Man.
So we all came home with staph infections, as did Kyle. You said you got it 4 times?
Just 4 different spots.
Four different spots. Yeah, well, that's how we all were.
Did the Nelks get infected?
Yeah, everybody was in the hospital. We got fucked up, dude. It was
hospital?
I want to be clear. Like it's all fun and games we're talking about. It was a hard trip on the body. Like you're sleeping on the ground, you're in the mud, you're in the reef. Like it was a hard trip on the body in a fun way. But so they all got treated in Australia, but I was then in Vanuatu for an additional like 2 weeks. And then came home and went straight back to India. Literally, you spent like 8 hours in California, went back to India, just flew the family home.
Yeah.
But I picked up a Z-Pack from my doctor while I was in California because I was like, hey, like I think I have like a respiratory thing or something, but it was actually just the staph doing a full body like meltdown. But my kids and wife, nobody had talked to anybody. They all had the staph still. And just like, all right, like we were like doing all the shit I always do. I've done it to Patrick, like treating with hydrogen peroxide, clearing out the wounds, blah, blah, blah. But it was getting worse and worse. So Jess took herself and the kids in, got antibiotics for the staph infection, went home. I was like, how are you guys? Like, I'm feeling better. She's like, we're good. You know, like the kids were like pretty sick. And staff's bad for little kids.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And so she's like, the kids are getting better, but Rhodes just has no energy and no appetite. And I was like, it's probably just due to the antibiotics. You know, he's been pretty sick, blah, blah, blah. But he went, long story made short, he went 2 weeks without eating. Antibiotics came and went. He weighs 40 pounds and he weighed 40 pounds and he lost 8 pounds. Wow. So, you know, he lost a quarter.
20%.
Yeah, he lost a quarter of his body weight. Wow. And then she's like, he's not getting better. And now he doesn't have the energy to get from like the couch to his bed. And I was like, fuck. So Long story short, he went to 3 different specialists, and they found out he had some kind of parasite in his stomach.
Yikes.
That could have come from Vanuatu. It could have come from India. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a parasite that I don't remember the name of it, but most adults' system just naturally beat it, but kids' systems don't. And he was really sick. But the problem is, Western medicine, we're in California, this parasite doesn't exist here. He went to 2 specialists who were like, I don't know, maybe he's just got an upset stomach. They couldn't figure out what it was. Then the 3rd specialist figured it out. 36 hours later, he was like back on his feet, but he was like deteriorating. Yeah.
Yikes.
Wow.
But that's just part. And I was explaining this to my lawyer, called me and he's like, what's going on? Are you going to get sued for getting these guys sick? I was like, no, relax. Everybody's fine. But I was trying to explain it to him. This is just part of the life that I've chosen to live.
Right.
Like, I'm dragging my kids to a fucking island in Vanuatu that takes like 4 days to get there. Yes, they're going to get sick. Like, it's just part of the life choices that we've made.
Yep, they're going to get sick, and you're not in the U.S. where you feel confident in the medical system.
Correct.
Right? You're going to have to treat certain things.
Correct.
Or like use bush medicine.
And I'm pretty good at that. Like, you know that. We've done it many times, but I couldn't beat whatever was going on. You know what I mean? And I didn't know, but everything's good. Everybody's back. He was full energy for Christmas.
Sure was.
Putting a lot of eggnog in his system to put on some pounds.
Yeah.
We're good.
By the way, is
What a
it
story.
fucking freezing in here?
It's a little chilly.
It's cold.
Well, we all have jackets on.
I feel great though because I got my hair down.
I just want to make
It's
sure I
covered
wasn't going crazy, that it
Yeah,
is
you're good.
absolutely freezing.
It's cold.
So
It's
that's
cold. I'm shivering.
So that's kind of like the other side. We get a lot of feedback, or people always ask the question, how can I do what you do, Forrest? Like, that's what a lot of people who watch the show want to do. And it's always funny to me because nobody really, like, you got to be willing to take the kind of brutality that comes along with the good parts that you see on camera, which is this.
Not only that, but you pointed out to me, which it didn't even register for me. Those things don't like click with me as being a big issue.
Yeah.
And like you were talking to Jess, my wife, at the Christmas party.
Yes.
And she was like, my kids nearly died from the waterfall thing. The boat broke down. And you're like, Forrest hasn't told me any of this. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen.
It's crazy.
Like, it doesn't even register to me as like being a big deal. Like, part of adventures is narrow misses, boats breaking down, getting stuck, getting lost, like being, that's just part of an adventure.
You board certain planes knowing that you're just going to go through some shit.
Exactly.
And when you get on the plane, you're like, you're at LAX, you just ate your cheeseburger and had your glass of wine, and you're like, I'm getting on this plane knowing that I'm going to put myself into some shitty situations that are going to be very uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's worth the trade-off because I want to see that mountain or, climb a glacier. 'cause
Or in
that's
this case, a
something I wanna do.
waterfall that was not worth it.
Yeah. So, that was a different scenario. You were on a boat. You had the way that Jess explained it, you were on a boat and there was one waterfall that was like 15 minutes away and one that was like 2 hours away. And you were like, well, we got to go out to the 2 hour one. And then what happened? The boat broke down.
A couple things. Actually, Kyle, I'm going to send you something. The boat broke down, but the most exciting part of this waterfall thing, and I'll tell the whole story, and yes, the family nearly died. But
aside from the illness, the family died almost in a
they didn't
different
nearly.
way.
This is bullshit. They didn't nearly die. They just, there was a bit of a scare, which I'm going to explain. But more interestingly than this is I'm almost certain that I'm going to, for the first time in history, show a brand new species exclusively on the pod right here.
Damn, we need a jingle for this. New species.
It better not be a snail.
It's smaller than a snail.
Okay.
And it's not a beer slug either, unfortunately.
Ah, damn.
It's a tiny spider.
Actually, here, Kyle, I'm going to send you a few photos so you could be the judge as to whether or not this trek was worth
I'm glad it's not the beer slug because that's still on the table for the wild times to go out and find.
It must be. Hold on, Kyle. I've got stuff coming your way here. But yeah, so long story short, there was this 2 waterfalls. So we're with Brett in Kwakia in Vanuatu. There's 2 waterfalls, right? There is the waterfall that's about 20 minutes away. That's kind of near to a small village, similar like to a Mota village. That's easy to get to, nice sandy beach, blah, blah, blah. But people have seen it. There's even a little village there. Then there's a waterfall on the backside of the big island that probably less than 100 people have ever visited. And Brett's like, look, it's a mission, but it's huge and it's spectacular. Like, I only go there like once a year, but it is a crazy waterfall. What do you want to do? And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. It's like, I got to go to the big waterfall. And Jessica's like, well, Jessica hates boats. She'll get sick in a canoe, right? Sitting in a bathtub. So she's like, how far is it? I was like, Brett, how far is it? He's like, it's 2 hours. I was like, it's about an hour and a half.
Of course.
So we get in his boat. We go there. The seas are rough as shit. Jess is green getting there. We rock up, and there's nothing but maybe Kyle. I'm not sure if these pics will work, but I sent them to Kyle. There's nothing but sheer cliff. There's no way to get onto the beach. So I'm like, how do we like get in through these swells? He's like, oh, you just have to swim in, which is great, except I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old who can't swim, right? So
yes, that's a problem.
Yeah, so we anchor the boat like 100 yards offshore, dive in. Rhodes is on my back in a life jacket. Rudd is on Jessica's back. The swells are rolling over us. The rocks are super sharp, super slippery. This is how we got part of the staph infection because we got super cut up, getting rolled, getting on the beach. The baby, like Jess is swimming in, and I shouldn't even tell this. I watched this. She's clinging on to the baby's clinging onto Jess's back. He's in a life jacket. And this like 4-foot swell rolls over and just engulfs her and the baby. You just see the baby's face is like, when he comes up. So we get there, we swim up, and then we finally get on these rocks, and the rocks are sharp. We're all cut to shit. Like you can see it there. Like zoom in on the beach, Kyle. That's the beach.
That's no beach.
And that's during a flat part, right? Like there were big waves. I mean, not huge waves, but like shoulder high waves.
It's just
breaking.
giant sharp rocks.
But there's the waterfall. See it there? And you can see why nobody goes there. I mean, it's just Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. The story's getting long, but yeah. So then we have to hike up the super muddy mountain. Everybody's falling down. Yeah, it looks like this, trying to get up there. There's no trail or anything. You're just bushwhacking. Yeah. Jess has the baby on her back. She falls like twice. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just vertical. Rhodes is falling. I'm falling, and I'm pretty sure-footed on this stuff. It's just so slick and muddy.
Quite the adventure.
But then we finally get to the waterfall. Kyle, show what the waterfall looks like if you don't mind. And it's just like, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a huge waterfall.
Wow.
Nobody goes there, like I said, and we're swimming. That's us like going down to it.
Yeah.
And I'll get to the none of this is the gnarly part of the story. What's really cool is, Kyle, pull up those fish pics I sent you quickly.
How's the water there? Is it warm? That warm
in the
water?
Waterfall, it's chilly.
Chilly.
Like, because it had just rained a few nights before. Hold on before you go to the next picture. That one I could ID, but the waterfall is like crisp. The water in the ocean was like 86. It was beautiful. Yeah. And I could show you nice photos. This is all like the kind of gnarly stuff.
This is the adventure stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so Rhodes being Rhodes and me being me, we bring a bunch of dip nets and like critter keepers, like clear buckets and stuff.
Yeah.
And I jump at that pool in the waterfall, and it's full of beautiful little freshwater fish. And I catch like 2 or 3 of them. I'm able to like ID them later. But then I get this little guy. Go to the orange one.
Now this looks like a leech to me of some type. Or an alien?
It's a tiny little freshwater fish.
Really?
This little sucker, I'm almost certain is an undescribed species.
Wow.
Yeah, new species drop right here. I like, if anybody listening can Google search this or figure it out or look at freshwater fishes of Vanuatu and correct me, please comment in the video.
Yeah.
Because I looked all over and I could not find anything that has these 2 orange spots. So zoom in real quick, Kyle.
By the way, drop a comment on the vid.
Was there multiple of these, or was this the only one?
No. Okay. There was probably in that pool like thousands, but they're really hard to catch. I was swimming around with the little dip net, and this was the only. He's got the clear body, the orange spot halfway down, and the orange nose. Beautiful,
very cute.
Look
fish.
at him there. You can kind of see him there, and just couldn't find it. So I'm almost certain this was a new species. And I was like saying to Brett, I was like, we should take this back and like build a fish tank at your lodge and keep it and blah, blah, blah. But he was like, I'm not taking this little fish back. But like, it's like, I'm pretty sure this is an undescribed species in this remote waterfall. And I kind of like want to, you couldn't make a show about this tiny little fish, but I like want to do something around it because it's so cool. And like I said, I'm almost certain it's a brand new species, probably endemic to that little island and that little water patch.
Very cool. Is it like similar to anything like a bigger genre?
Yeah, it's a freshwater goby of some kind.
Goby, okay.
Yeah, so Kyle could look that up quickly. It's definitely a goby. Like you can see it. But what species it is, I don't know. I mean, like I'm saying, I don't think anybody's ever documented it. It's one of those. It's some kind of freshwater goby.
The gobies are the ones that like chill on the bottom and kind of like walk.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they don't really walk. They kind of like hop rock to rock underwater. Gobies are pretty broad, but yeah, they're beautiful fish, and they're living in this fast-moving water. That looks to me like a male in mating colors because there were little brown ones around. I'm guessing those were the females. But go to the left pic. Look at that. You can really see the colors there. It's really hard to do with a stupid iPhone that was soaking wet. But
looks good. Looks very, like you could see all the detail in it.
But isn't that cool? Like, I'm pretty sure that's a brand new species, never before described by Western science.
That's awesome.
So you checked it against like whatever field guide.
I found 2 pieces of literature that I ordered the books and looked them up and couldn't find anything, or one was a paper, one was a book, and then I Googled furiously, couldn't find anything.
Got it. Has
So-
there been much scientific research on that island?
No, 0.
Okay.
Literally 0 where we were. And actually, I got another crazy story, which we'll circle back to. Remind me about the giant gecko, okay?
Okay.
Anyway, we finish up at the waterfall, slide our butts back down, falling, everything else, go back through the surf, get back to, baby's crying again. The waves are breaking over his head, the whole fucking
God.
thing. There he is.
Look at that
I mean, we had a great time. And then we finally get back to the boat. Again, it took us 2 hours to get here in very rough seas.
Yeah.
We finally get back to the boat, and this is kind of, I don't think I really meant to send that, but it doesn't matter. You can show it. We finally get back to the boat.
Why are your pants off, dude?
No. We finally get back to the boat, and Jess is like, okay, that was exhausting. Like, we got to go back. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And Brett's like, just so you know, one of the best seamounts is like right over here, like a mile away. And I was like, well, we got to check that. Give me 10 minutes to dive on the seamount and check it.
Right. Yeah.
And that actually, you could show that other video from a different spot. But yeah, so I, dive in. There's some nice fish around, whatever.
You did some spearfishing?
Yeah, I did lots of spearfishing. Shot some dogtooth tuna and some big ukus and stuff. It was great. But yeah, so we motored the boat a mile over after this harrowing thing. The baby's nearly drowned, whatever. We find a new species, like all the shit. And then it takes 2 hours to get there. Jess sits in the boat while I jump in at the seamount, getting sicker and sicker, as are both kids. I find out
Turning
all 3 of
green.
them.
Everyone's,
Just
all 3
green
of them are
colored.
seasick to the point of throwing up over the side of the boat. And she's like, we got to go, please. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. We shouldn't have hit the seamount. So I like jump in the boat. We make it 40 feet. Start the boat.
Oh, no.
Boat dies.
Yeah.
40 feet.
perfect.
And the boat dies.
How far are you from shore?
That distance, you can see the shore behind us.
That's not a nice swim.
No, 2 miles offshore. And then, yeah, probably 35 miles back from Kwakia, the main island.
Yikes.
And the boat dies. So, I'm pretty good with outboards. Brett's really good with them. He does all his own mechanicking. So we start ripping the engines apart, like trying to figure it out. We're changing the spark plugs, checking the fuel lines, like everything you do on an outboard. And Jess is literally like over the side of the boat throwing up. The baby's throwing up all over her.
Fucking nightmare.
the boat
by
is
way.
like, by the way, because you're not moving, probably like
side
even
2
more.
So the boat rotates side to the swell. So now it's like full boof every
my
10
wife
seconds.
wouldn't talk to me for like the next 3 months, by the way, if this had happened.
We spent an hour working on the outboard.
God.
Can't fix it. Can't fix it. So it's a 2-engine boat. So, we give up on the second, because literally an hour working on the outboard would save you hours going back because you go twice the speed.
Sure.
Boat's overloaded with everybody in one engine, blah, blah, blah. We give up on trying to fix the engine. Can't get it fixed. Start it. The boat's moving 6 knots.
Oh,
I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but that's like, I
4
can
miles
walk
an hour.
faster than that.
Yeah.
Takes us 4.5 hours to get back from the
Oh,
waterfall
my
to
God.
the island.
That must have been a nice ride.
Yeah, Jessica's throwing up the whole time. The baby's throwing up all over her lap. Rhodes is passed out from exhaustion. And the boat's just going up and down the waves. Like every wave, it slows down because of the tilt of the wave. And then speed, like it's that slow. Yeah, 4.5 hours, get back after dark.
That is an adventure.
No food.
I mean,
No food.
oh really?
Yeah, didn't bring food. It was supposed to be a morning's trip to the waterfall.
dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Wild.
It's sort of nothing worse than being seasick, but at least if you have a time frame of when you'll get back to land,
Right.
it can sort of help you get over the mental will to
Yeah.
give you the will to survive.
You're like, okay, I only have to be like this for X number more minutes.
Yes,
Right. There's some
exactly.
hope.
Even
Yeah.
though every minute does feel like an hour, because your body is trying to turn itself inside out.
The whole time.
Is essentially
yeah,
what's
it's like
happening.
purging itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and both kids were doing it. Jess was doing it, and I was just smiling away. I even have photos. I'm like happy as a clam, and they're all puking over the side of the boat.
Dude, I feel like there's only maybe like 0.00001 women in this world that would deal with your bullshit.
It's funny.
Yeah,
we
that's 100% true.
we were
You
talking
found the
about
one.
that
He'd be
recently.
divorced several times over had he not met Jess.
I don't know that I've ever met any other women that would actually put up with my shenanigans.
No, like it's-
Actually,
most men just hanging out with you either wouldn't want to do it.
I'm a lot. I'm a handful.
You're a handful.
I mean, it's not your fault the boat broke down.
No, I tried to fix it. It's my
Here's the
fault
other
that I
thing.
made us
If-
go to the far waterfall
Okay,
and
yes.
go to the
So
seamount
Brett-
and drag them through everything.
So
Your
Brett
choices.
says, by the way, we're not far from this awesome seamount.
Yeah,
Right.
he wanted to dive it too.
So you look at Jess.
Yeah.
And was there anything she could have said that would have made it so you didn't end up at the seamount?
No, she knows me. She looked at me with like doe eyes, like, please don't do this. And I looked back at Brett and I was like, all right, a quick one. You know what I
So
mean?
she went with you though. So like that says something about her, you know. She's stuck.
Well, this
by
is what I
you.
said to you, Peter, because you guys had this plan where Forrest is going to take you to the Channel Islands and drop you off in a remote spot
still
and then
doing
come
it.
pick you up.
Yeah.
This is what I said, like, he may not come get you on the day he says he's going to come get
I
you.
probably
It's true.
will.
It'll be an adventure though. He would. I mean, dude, after that prank he pulled at Animal Con, it would be like he would let me get to like the point where my head is it's like getting dark now. So it's like 4 hours after he's supposed to pick me up, and then he'd like turn up and he'd be like, "Oh, by the way, we don't have any lights, so we got to spend the night here." And
Yeah.
like, dude, just the biggest prank in the world.
Pretty funny though.
Dude, so crazy, man. And your kids are kind of getting just like, how was Rhodes throughout this? Like he was totally all into
Great.
it. Yeah?
100% in. He's catching hermit crabs every day, building fish tanks. I would like go and do something because I had my Starlink and I was working and stuff. So I would like go and work and I'd come back and Rhodes is just sitting there with like 2 birds that he's caught. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's just been feral on the island. He didn't wear shoes for a month. Like it was awesome, dude. It's great. So I said to remind us about the gecko.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on there?
So this is interesting. I have a thurry.
Is that a story or a theory?
A thurry.
A theory.
A theory.
theory.
Okay.
If I was from the South, you'd get it.
Yeah, theory.
So the Leachianus gecko. I think we've talked about it. Kyle, pull up a Leachianus gecko, would you?
He's too busy texting.
I saw that. I hate him. The Leachianus gecko is the largest species of gecko in the world.
It's this freakish, gigantic thing.
Feels like velvet, okay? They were discovered. When was it discovered? Kyle, quit fucking
I'm
texting.
looking for something.
So this, if you're only listening, it's like a foot-long gecko that's fat. It's like the size of a football.
Yeah, it's a fat foot-long gecko.
Wait, is it not the Leachianus?
Edit.
1829. No, it's fine. Look up the giant New Caledonian gecko that was discovered in like the 1980s, please. Anyway, here's what I'm getting at, okay? I thought it was a Leachianus, but maybe it's a different type of Leachianus. The giant New Caledonian gecko was this animal. We've talked about the oh no, now I'm messing up with the island. The Quikia, which is the death lizard in Maori, right?
Yeah.
Behind the bark. We've talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
So this New Caledonian giant lizard, Delcourt, no, that's not it. I don't know. New Caledonian giant gecko was believed to be a rumor. It was like, it's not a real thing. Then these 2 guys went there, a French guy, and I forget what the other guy's nationality was, and found this giant gecko in New Caledonia. Okay? Where I was in Vanuatu is the northernmost part of Vanuatu. 120 miles, that's it, from New Caledonia. So when I was on Mota Island with the tribe, at this point in time, I just knew I was close to New Caledonia, but I had no idea how close. I was talking to some of the elders. I was like, do you have any big geckos here? You know, and I was like explaining what a gecko was, showing him pictures and stuff. And the guy's like, yeah, like this big.
Oh.
And I was like, that big?
Yeah.
Because the New Caledonian geckos are like this big. They're like a foot. This thing he was doing with, and again, it's all anecdotal, but he was holding up his hands at like 2.5 feet, right? And he's like, yeah, they're on this island. I was like, please show me one, please. We were there for 2 nights, so I didn't get to see one.
Yeah.
But only 120 miles, I found out later, from New Caledonia, approximately 120 miles from New Caledonia. And the local people in a place that science has never been conducted are saying, yes, there's giant geckos here.
Wow.
So there could be potentially in northern Vanuatu a larger gecko than the largest known gecko species ever described that was only discovered 30-something years ago.
We got to go back, dude. Wild Times trip. We got to film it, try and find it.
You want to go find a lost giant gecko?
I'll go with you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pat seems less keen.
You just described several near-death incidents. And I'm just trying to decide if Peter's cut out for it.
Are you cut out for it?
I'm going to be cut up if we go, but yeah, I'm cut out. What do you mean? You think you're more cut out than me? Or?
No. I don't think
He's
you're
like,
cut
no,
out.
I'm not going.
It would be tough. I'll say I would have to like do a nice 2 months solid gym time, get my core in shape, and just.
You don't need your core in shape to go to an island.
Are you kidding me? You got to be spry physically.
You
to deal
don't
with
have to be shirts off. You can just wear your shirt in the pool.
You got to be sure-footed. You got to be confident in your physical abilities, and
Why is so much shit discovered in New Caledonia?
I don't know. It's a good question. Where is the Wallace Line? Can you Google that as it relates to New Caledonia? It's further. It's got to be further east, closer, or further, whatever's closer to Australia, right? There's the Wallace Line. Do you know what the Wallace Line is, Petter?
No.
The Wallace Line is really, really interesting. So look at the PBS thing right there, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, Kyle. So the Wallace Line is an imaginary line that you're seeing right there that for some reason, most animals don't cross. Nobody
weird.
knows why. And I mean, you can literally see how close these islands, like if you look at the Indonesian island chain where the Wallace Line is,
Yeah.
for some reason, you go to the right of that line, as we're looking at it on the screen, you have marsupials and tree kangaroos and thylacine and marsupial lions and all these things. You go to the left of it, you have tigers and wolves and canines and all the normal animals that the rest of the world has.
Yeah.
But for some reason, nothing crosses this Wallace. Like, those animals do not cross over into the Wallace Line.
What are there
Completely
any?
unknown as to why.
So there's no.
Go
Like,
to the
are there any
blue one.
hypothesis? Is it like magnetism or something? They think maybe.
I'm sure. But like zoom in there and look at the Indonesian chain, which is the bottom. I don't know if you can zoom in. Like the islands literally are like a quarter mile apart, and yet the animals are not connected. Like completely different species on one side of the Wallace to the other.
Got to be some kind of sixth sense, man. It's got to be to do with magnetism. I'm saying. Pat, any theories?
No, I was just trying to remember because at one point years ago on the podcast we talked with BTG's obsessed with the Wallace Line.
Yeah, he's talked to me about it before too.
Yeah, I know he wants to do some like big expedition.
Yeah.
But isn't there also something where like one side of the line is much more studied than the other?
Oh, I don't know. Probably. I mean, BTG would be the best person to talk to about it that I know, but it's just fascinating that you have all these marsupials and all these different animals on one side and then all these like mammals and more normal animals on the other. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Okay, so I think we should play a game.
All right,
Kyle,
let's do it. I
Kyle,
love
you got
games.
a jingle jangle?
Love games.
Ooh, a jingle game.
Ooh, I know what this is.
So you guys got me all fired up on my trip to Vanuatu. My wife now listens to the podcast, which means I'm going to have to hear
She
about
does?
this. Yeah, it's not
Oh, boy.
good.
What about the bonus pods? Did you listen to that?
Let's not get into that.
Okay.
I don't know, actually. But I had an idea after you guys got me all revved up on talking about my family trip to Vanuatu. Let's do a top 3 DFL family adventures. Completely hypothetical. I would say taking my family to Vanuatu was on that list for me. I've checked it off now.
Okay.
So let's go. Completely hypothetical. Top 3 DFL, taking into account your spouses, your children, things they would love and hate. Top 3 DFL. Petter.
And do we have to take into account the fact that the kids are going to ruin everything?
No, that's just a given.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that that's going to be the case.
All right.
Boy,
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead,
So
Pete.
number 3.
Go ahead, Skinny Pete.
Thanks. And on the Skinny Pete note, there's a Taco Bell, a couple of them around the U.S. where they serve alcohol.
There used to be one in the Denver airport.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think there might be one in Vegas. Like a very, and I think maybe somebody sent me a picture of one in Australia, I believe. So I'd go to that Taco Bell in Australia where they serve booze. It
Oh,
overlooks.
that's where that was going the whole time? I had no idea.
It overlooks a beautiful, beautiful the ocean or something. Maybe the one in Australia.
No,
Kyle.
it's an adventure.
It
We're
is an
talking
adventure.
No, come on. Do
Listen,
an adventure.
Stop. These are my adventures. This is all the way to Australia. You kidding me? Just get
Look at
in there
this.
with kids.
Look at this.
That's what
it's
I'm
like
talking
a beautiful like beach shack.
Where is this?
overlooking the
Pacifica.
ocean?
That's right. Where is that?
Pacifica.
Pacifica.
Isn't
That's
that in California?
Yeah,
oh well.
That's not in California.
sure is Pacifica.
Now you want to go, see?
All right.
A freestanding boozy Taco Bell cantina in California.
That's
There we
wild.
go. So that's number 3.
Okay, it's a road
It'd
trip.
be an adventure getting there. Yes, it would be. Number 2. Listen, you guys, I am not as well traveled as you guys, so I don't know that many places. But number 2 would be again somewhere in the U.S. I'm gonna take my kids back to the Midwest, and we're gonna go up to do some camping up in the Wisconsin area in the woods where there's lakes. And, just rough it. I mean, I know it's not.
You could look for Sasquatch sign.
You could look for 2 guys just died recently looking for Sasquatch. You hear about that?
No, is that true?
Yeah, in Oregon, I believe.
Huh.
Yeah.
Poor bastards.
We could try looking for Sasquatch up there, but listen, we'll go when it's a little bit colder. It might snow, so we'll go in the fall to make it a little more adventurous.
Okay.
Plus, I'm taking the kids. Yeah, so, and
Yeah,
number
they're gonna run
1, and I know we've mentioned it before, but I just saw this amazing video of I believe it was I want to say it was Norway, Northern Lights in Norway, but there's a frozen lake where you can ice skate and it sparkles Like
Look at Kyle furiously Googling Norway Lights
look at
sparkling
this,
ice
this right
skating.
here, dude.
Yeah,
This.
that's pretty cool.
So I want to go here. Like you can ice skate on this. These sparkles on the lake and the Northern Lights, dude.
That looks awesome.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
cool.
this
Where
is
is
my
that,
number
Kyle?
one. So let's see where this one.
Lapland.
Where is it?
Finland. Lapland.
Finland.
Yeah,
So we'd go there, and it's adventurous.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
a good pick.
that's
Yeah.
good. That was
I
your
learned
number one.
something.
Yeah.
That's your number one.
Oh my god, that's my number one for sure.
Fair enough. Understandable.
What's your DFL, the Vanuatu trip you just described?
Oh
that
god,
he wants to go on?
Yeah.
gosh, DFL is got to be just shit. I mean,
A regular Taco Bell?
I was gonna say a regular Taco Bell anywhere because the prices are outrageous and they don't serve booze. So
Okay.
Fair enough.
That's
come on,
good.
it's me. This is
No,
what
it's
I'm.
good.
I'm
That's
the
your
common
life.
guy.
That is your life.
Thank you.
That's your bubble, and you live
and
in
you
it.
redeemed it with that last one.
Well, that's
How
so-
incredible is that
Lapland,
Northern Lights?
That's pretty cool. I
It's
didn't know that
amazing.
existed.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Okay. Have you guys? I'm gonna kind of borrow from you there.
Mhm.
Have you seen videos of? I think it's in Quebec. There's this like frozen trail that they turn into this massive ice skating thing.
Oh, you and I texted about this. Yeah.
It looks fucking awesome.
But they also have like igloos, and it's like a winter wonderland.
Well, that sounds incredible.
It's in Quebec, I think, and you basically can just ice skate for miles through this like magical forest.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're going to do this with your children? Put them on a sled? How are you doing that?
They got to be on a backpack.
Yeah, backpack it.
Okay.
I'm not a particularly good ice skater, but
Yep.
you can
I
have
could-
one of those little walker things that they use.
yeah, exactly. It just looks real fun. I'd like to do that.
Okay.
I would tackle the Hanalei Bay waterfall hike in Kauai.
Okay.
Oh,
You
nice.
love that hike.
Nice.
It's an amazing hike. It's muddy. I've done it with you.
Mhm,
Did it with
we did
Peter.
it. Yep.
Could put the kids in backpacks and,
Sure.
and do it.
Sure.
4 miles, I think. But it does end in like this very majestic waterfall and swimming hole.
Okay.
That's real
Um,
nice.
So I'll tackle that adventure. It's nice and easy. You're back at the resort by 3 p.m.
Okay.
Number one.
Number one.
People are gonna think I'm a one-trick pony with this, but I would genuinely like to take them to see the fjords off Nook, Greenland.
That's
and
okay.
boating around those islands,
Fair enough.
stopping at various just unnamed islands and adventure and peeling sea urchin right off the rocks.
Now, for
Yeah.
for the listeners who don't know, what is a fjord?
I don't know.
It's a valley carved by a glacier that's filled with water.
It was really because I didn't know.
Thanks, Forrest.
Yeah.
Thanks for it.
I know
All
what
right.
it looks like, but I don't know what it is.
Fjords and your
DFL?
DFL Madagascar. Never going back.
Why not?
That
Just
was
because you already
we had a
seen what-
rough trip in Mad. Both times he had a rough trip.
Yep.
You've seen what you had to see.
What's
Okay.
yours?
That's
now that,
good.
Now that Vanuatu's off the list.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Alaska's gone too, or
Why?
the polar bears are gone too.
Well, I didn't take the family for that, but no,
Okay.
that would be a terrible idea. All right, number 3 for me is to take the family to the Amazon because
Ooh.
I think my son would love it. You catch tons of snakes and turtles and stuff in the river. You can fish and catch fish all day long, which my son loves.
Beautiful.
There's lots to see. It's relatively safe. People think of the Amazon as being dangerous, but compared to most other like jungles and places in the world, I'd absolutely let roads like run off into the jungle.
Are there a lot of warring tribes there?
No, I mean, there are some places, but not where I would go with the family.
Okay.
That's number 3. I think an Amazon trip with the family would be incredible.
Nice.
Number 2 for me would actually be Madagascar
Okay.
for similar reasons, but to go to the parts of Madagascar that you can just like, if I could take my wife and kids out on one of those night hikes where you catch 30 different species of chameleon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, it's just like, it is an adventure too. You can get to the ocean, you can do the beach stuff, you can do the tropical stuff, you can do the jungle stuff, you can do the desert stuff. I think that would be up. Imagine catching tenrics with my kid. He'd go freaking nuts. That's
Yeah.
in the thing in the center that
Mhm.
looks like a hedgehog. That's a tenric.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you go nuts. Number 1 would be like a real African safari. Like, not necessarily sitting in the Land Cruiser, but like being able to take my family to the kind of safari that I grew up doing, like walking through the bush with a gun on my shoulder, teaching them how to track, teaching my son how to track animals and read spoor. That would be awesome.
I feel like you'll probably end up doing that.
I'll probably do all three at some point, but these are my top 3 right now. DFL, I get tied for 2. Because I'm thinking about what my family likes, okay?
Okay.
Number 1, bottom DFL, a sailing trip through the South Pacific. For the reasons I just explained. I would love it. I would love it. I'd dive, I'd fish, blah, blah, blah. Kids are stuck on a sailboat. Can't go anywhere when you're not on the island. Some of those crossings are like 5 days. Imagine being stuck in a small fiberglass tube with your wife and 2 children for 5 days.
While they're vomiting.
Yeah, while my wife is undeniably sick and useless the whole time.
Nah, that'd be rough.
And second to that would be snow camping.
Really?
Can you imagine snow camping with a toddler, with an infant?
No.
They're just free. The whole time you think they're going to die of hypothermia. You can't let them go. You can only probably leave the tent for an hour at a time, and then you're back to being stuck in a tent with your entire family.
And the whole time you gotta figure out ways to keep warm. So that's all you'd be focused on.
That's how I feel right now in the studio.
Fortunately, my baby is clinically obese, so he'd be fine from a warmth standpoint. But like, what do you like? The whole time I'd be like, he's gonna die. Like if he touches the snow, he's gonna lose his fingers. He's gonna get frostbite. Like I can't imagine snow camping with children.
It's funny that like you're worried about that, yet you let your wife strap him on the back and like go through big swells.
Because I know the ocean. I'm not a cold weather guy.
Yeah.
Like he's a cold weather guy. Like he likes the Greenland and the snow. I'm not a cold. I don't know. Like I've done it. I've been to the Arctic. I've done all that, but I'm not like comfortable in it like I am in the ocean.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
I knew the baby wasn't going to die. Yes,
Right.
I knew he was absolutely going to get salt water in his face and scream from his eyes stinging and all that. I knew he'd be fine. I don't know the cold like that. I can't read it and be like, oh, we're gonna be fine.
I'd love to hear what the Brosners, what their best DFL top 3 in DFL trips would be to take their families on.
Yeah.
Drop it in the comments.
Where are you taking Granny? Like, what's your DFL to take Granny? Kyle, what's your DFL to take your grandma on a trip?
Philippines, where she's from?
Boy.
No, he's Guamese.
Oh yeah.
Probably like some kind of African safari.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think if I took my grandma on African safari at this point in her life, I'd just leave her out there.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, Grandma, go for a walk. Like, go for a nice walk.
Take a nice night hike and just become part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, see those kitties? Go pet them. Yeah.
Jeez,
Let us
Louise.
know what you think. Give us some ideas.
You know what?
Good night, everybody.
Good night. wildtimes.club/info for the links to everything you need.
Neil Patrick Harris, NPH.
GFL?
No problems here. Good fucking luck.